look here, when Kenyans were getting scarce in this country, when Kenyans were being tortured in the Nyayo torture chambers, when Kenyans were being exiled, when Kenyans were being detained, the Kenya Kwanza ticket were in the bosom of that brutal regime. When this country was being plundered from Goldenberg, the 2 Kenya Kwanza ticket were in the bosom. James Smart, you have seen endorsements that have come from Martha Karua, from the Muslim community, from his fellow colleagues. Have you seen special DOs or former DOs coming to endorse Rigathi Gachagua? They are ashamed. They can't come out. They don't want to show the country that we are part of that diabolical time in our country.
I think history is always very important, and I think the misrepresentation Professor is putting out cannot go without correction. First, when he says when Kenyans were being detained, when Kenyans were when Kenyans were going to exile, the 2 Kenya Kwanza candidates he said were possum bodies of government. And it's not true, because during that time, when I was a student at the University of Nairobi, the deputy president was my youngmate. We were admitted at the same time. We graduated at the same time.
But that's what he joined.
Wait. He was a student. So he was not part of the government.
But he became part of it.
Let us not, misrepresent history, because
became part
we
of
will
it.
always correct you when you falsify it.
He became
and you're
part
good
of
at it.
Okay, let's talk about the record then of the deputy president and Rigathi Gachagua in totality. Both of them have been part of government for a long time.
Just like the prime minister was.
Yeah, but we're contrasting now. Let's talk about their own part of the record.
Go ahead.
Exactly, yeah. So in terms of history, what he's talking about, that there's obviously contrast here. That there was others who, in that time, especially of the Nyayo era, the early 90s, maybe it was 2000, that they were on one side of that regime that was, at that time, would be said, was the one that was oppressing Kenyans. And the others were on the opposition at that time. That is the record that we're talking about. How does that sit?
Yes, but I think someone talked about this, if you look at former President Mwai Kibaki, he was part of that regime until he resigned from it. If you look at the current president, he was part of that regime until he resigned. Let's not forget that Prime Minister Raila was once upon a time a very powerful Secretary General of KANU. Yes. He was a very powerful Secretary General of KANU. He was part of the apparatus of the state. It's only that when Moi refused to appoint him his successor that he turned tables on him. But this selective reading of history will not do anybody good. Yes. KANU was once upon a time the only party, and everybody was a member of that party, or if you want to be anything in government. So, fair enough. Gachagua was a DO. People say that, they falsify history and say that he served in Molo. I think everybody has realized that that is false. But unless you can show that there are certain specific abuses that he committed, being a DO doesn't mean much, really. He was a DO, he was a district officer, just the way someone was a DC or someone was a PC, and they have led their own career. That he was a DO on its own doesn't mean much.
Prof, what is that one thing that is very wrong with this ticket of William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua? What is that one thing that doesn't sit right with you?
No, there are several things, but...
give me top of mind.
Top of mind is hypocrisy. Let me give you an example. I think Deputy President William Ruto has time and again told us how the 1 mile, how the SGR, how the tarmac roads, and all that were crafted in his boardroom because it's the success. Deputy President has been silent during the same period. How come laptop was not delivered? How come the 6-month stadiums were not delivered? Where the NYS scandal was crafted? Where the medical equipment scandal was crafted? Where Eurobond was crafted? Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy. What's the one thing that doesn't sit right with you with Raila Odinga and Martha Karua's candidature?
Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. This is a man who is running on a party called Azimio. And the chairman of that party is President Uhuru Kenyatta. And then he says that he's not part of government. He is the candidate for the ruling party. That is why President Kenyatta is the chairman of his party. And when there is a meeting of that Politburo of the party, I mean, it is chaired by President Kibaki. Such hypocrisy cannot be entertained. Then he is telling the deputy president to resign because the deputy president says he is not government, and Raila says he is not government. Raila's campaign is solely funded by the office of the... Wait. Raila's... You know, last time, you will remember that Raila could not even raise funds. That's why he had these pay pills. Have you seen him having pay pills this time?
Obama raised from the
he doesn't have this time because every penny, every helicopter they fly is paid by the office of the president. Money budgeted for other functions being diverted for his campaign. That is hypocrisy. That is a liar.
James Matt, this country needs a principled leader. When you're a principled leader, like Jaramogi was, like Ken Matiba was, like Simeon Nyachae was, if you feel that where you are, where you sit, in organization theory, we teach that where you sit determines where you stand. If you find that where you are sitting, you can't stand up tall on it, then you resign. But let me just answer what he has said. Raila Odinga has cooperated with governments. Raila Odinga has entered coalition governments. So that when he entered into a cooperation with Daniel Arap Moi in 1998, and he finally found that they couldn't cope, he walked out of government. When he was in the coalition government with Mwai Kibaki, as he stated today, he stayed until the end because they had differences, but they had ways of resolving them. When it comes to the Jubilee government, he is not in government. The other day, James Matt, when a cabinet meeting was called, was Raila Odinga there? Who was there? Tell me, James Matt.
The deputy president there, but I know that's...
Let me finish. Just one more. This particular government, you had nominees from the president's side and from the deputy president's side of the cabinet ministers, because cabinet executes government policy, and it comprises of nominees of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President Ruto. Tell me any nominee of Raila Odinga in that executive government.
Let me answer him, because I like the spin, the euphemism he uses when he uses the word cooperation. What he doesn't tell us is that whether it is in 1997, whether it's in 2007, or whether it's in 2017, every time the electorate refuses to give Raila mandate and instead give someone else, he creates trouble and chaos.
So Craig Lau was wrong.
Let me finish. He creates chaos and confusion so that he is co-opted, so that he is bribed. That's what he has done in 1997 with LDP and KANU. He was made Secretary General of KANU. Subsequent to that, he did the same with Kibaki. And now he has done with President Kenyatta. And the will of the people, people have always made up their mind consciously not to give mandate to Raila. But what he has done, and I think he's commending it because he said he's using the word cooperation. I mean, that's...
So an interesting...
Cooperation governments are all over the world.
He turns the way because he has no mandate and usurps executive power through the back door. And I think that's what many people are calling political conmanship. That needs to stop in this country.
Let me just give you an example of political deceit. The other day, and William Kabogo told us, the other day, William Ruto asked Mount Kenya MPs that between Kithure Kindiki and Rigathi Gachagua, advise me on who should be the running mate. 27, according to William Kabogo, voted for Kindiki. 3 voted for Gachagua. 1 voted for Muturi. He is even lying to his own lieutenants. How much more will he lie to the country if he can lie to his own lieutenants?
I don't think we'll resolve the question of hypocrisy, gentlemen.
No. I think Prof should be just fair to many who are listening to him, including us. A presidential candidate can even... Ruto has the powers, absolute powers,
then why
to
ask?
Pick you.
Why ask?
To pick you.
Why
when
lie
you
to
will
the
bring
people
nothing
that,
to
why,
the table?
Why lie to them
Yes.
that please
But
suggest?
You don't address that he could not pick his running mate. It is Uhuru who picked for him. You don't address that.
I can assure you, Ahmed Nasser,
go and address.
Go and look at the record number
Because-
1
because
to
he
3
has no
that
say
the panel
in
that the panel was created
Look at
gave to Honorable Raila Odinga. James Martin, he is now saying
Even
that
you have seen his proposed cabinet.
in reaction,
Yes.
in
Gentlemen,
reaction,
yes.
in reaction to the nomination of Martha, he now rushed and said that he'll appoint half of his cabinet women.
Fair enough.
Look at even if you come to Azimio Council, leave alone the nomination of Martha, you'll find Charity Ngilu there, you'll find Sabina Chege there, you'll find Naomi Shaban there. Look at the founding parties and look at the aligning parties of Kenya Kwanza. No woman. And then he tells you that he'll appoint half the women.
I need to run. I need to finish.
James, before we finish,
Yes.
How is that relevant?
Is that relevant?
The composition, how is it relevant?
It's relevant because
What we are talking
he
about
won't,
is
he
the
won't
lack,
be able to
the
do
lack
it.
of
He's
independence
lying.
of a presidential candidate, that even in case he wins, which is most unlikely, his cabinet has already been predetermined for him by the outgoing president. You call that a puppet, surely.
Look. He bet BBI like a horse. Then when it comes to his agreement, Chief Minister is there. King, if you bring this, you get this. Mandeleo Chap, if you bring this, you get this. Dishing out positions which he condemned.
What are these irrelevant
Political deceit.
Here's the thing.
Deceit, hypocrisy.